The Legacy Files with Grant Cameron.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Grant Cameron, and I'm speaking to you from the nuclear-proof bunker deep underground, the Poco Palace here in Vancouver. And I'm joined by my co-author and co-assistant, Desta Barnaby, and she's over in Ontario, there near Toronto, right?
Hi, Grant.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, you must be excited now. Toronto Blue Jays are on the top of the league here, and
I heard that.
I heard about that this morning. I hadn't watched baseball, and now I guess we gotta sort of watch that. Anyway, we're gonna do. I want to do my first one today. It's kind of a weird thing. People always talk about paranormal. There's no paranormal. I've got two paranormal things that anybody can actually do at home. You probably did the one. Did you ever do the thing with the chair, where someone sits in the chair and then you put your hands on people on their head, and
Yeah.
then take the two fingers and lift them, and it's like
Yeah.
just amazing how that works. But I got another one here, and this is have you seen? I should must have showed you this, eh?
Well,
My
you should explain that one. Explain to everyone the thing on the chair, because
yeah.
that's a good one.
Oh, the chair. Okay, so what you do is you. I remember my father didn't agree. He didn't think this was real, so he used to build Heathkit TVs, and they're really heavy, like wooden cabinets and stuff like that. And so what you do is you whatever it is, when you get somebody in a chair or you put a big heavy object, and everybody lays on. So everybody puts their first hand on, then everybody puts a second hand on, and you can do whatever you want for 1 minute. You just sort of sit there and talk, and you don't have to meditate or do anything like that. And then when someone says, okay, ready, set, go, everybody goes, takes one corner, and you put your fingers underneath the one corner, and all you lift is
Of the chair.
of the chair. And well, we did the TV and underneath the TV too. And then you just go like this, and it goes whoop up into the air, and you can lift the person. It feels like they're a feather. I don't know how long it lasted because we'd always be so excited we'd put the chair back down. But that was one of the paranormal things. Although I did it in a school one time, and it doesn't work in an auditorium, I can tell you that. Because I was demonstrating this, and there was like 300 kids, like and some of the parents were there in this auditorium, and it didn't work. And I'm going, oh no, like, oh, it's so embarrassing. And then some of the kids went back to the room, and they came running back in. They said, we did it," and they had done it in the classroom, but it didn't for some reason didn't work in the auditorium. And you'll hear some noise behind me here. They're building a bathroom, which is big here in Poco. Houses are $1.6 million, and everybody's building something. They're renovating, and it's like unbelievable place. Like there's just renovations all over the place. So that's the one. And the other one is this one is the banana. Have you seen this? I was going to take it in the States, but I figured they would probably seize it for me. This is a mummified banana. You can do this as well. So what you do is you take and Bankston did this. It was like Bankston goes bananas. So now I've done it. And then if you remember Chase Williams, we had interviews with Chase Williams. He did it and it worked for him. It does works for everybody. What you do is you take a banana, but it has to be a completely green banana. You can't have a yellow banana. It has to be completely green. And then what you do is you just take the banana and you hold it on each end. And I can't remember what it is. You hold it for 1 minute, 3 days or something like that, or 2.5 minutes at one time. You just sit there, hold the banana and watch TV or whatever, and then you put the banana down. And I've started another one. So this is one that's about 2.5 weeks in. You can see it's starting to shrink down. Still got the pulp in it, but this is like wood. I mean, this is like you can hammer stuff. You put a
Oh.
hammer in there, and it's like this one's about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and it's completely mummified.
So
And
it's like a circuit with your body trying to prove that your
well, they
body's
don't, they don't
electric
know.
or
They were doing it at McGill University, maybe, and you were working on McGill because of the MK Ultra stuff. But and McGill, they did this. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but they were doing tomatoes and they were doing all sorts of stuff
hmm.
maybe 75 years ago. And then
Oh,
Bankston
wow.
discovered this by studying this guy, and then he tried it, and it actually does work. So, but it has to be a completely green banana to start, and nobody has any ex. It's not like the chair. Like nobody has any explanation whatsoever of how this thing works. So
But shouldn't it be like a current, right? Because if you're like, if you're making I don't know
yeah,
anything about like electrical things, but
yeah,
wouldn't that be it? Is that you're like somehow doing something to it and running
yeah,
your current
yeah.
through
There's
it since
something
both
coming
your
out of
hands
your
are on
body that's doing something to it. So
it? Cool.
I don't know, but anybody can try it and then post and let us know at my address or maybe at the presidentialufo.org. website. We've got contact information there. You can let us know if your banana works, and if it doesn't work, and we'll have a different. But I've tried two now, and I just because I saw these really green bananas the other day in the store, and I go, I'm going to try this again. So I grabbed this banana and I sort of just held it a little bit as I was going home. And you don't have to hold it for very long. It's like 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Or it's not very long. And then you just put
Hmm,
it down and it'll mummify. So it's
cool.
kind of the weird world where people don't believe there's anything paranormal, and this nobody has an explanation for either of those things, and yet anybody can do them.
I
So we're
saw
gonna
the chair thing on TikTok. I've been seeing that, and it was reminding me that like the light as a feather, stiff as a board thing that we used to do when we were kids. And I tell people that now, and people think it's actually nuts that when we were kids we were levitating people, but we would be doing it every single weekend, and it was the same thing, right? We had two fingers. There was four of us around one person, two on the side, the head and the foot, and like the head and the foot and either side of the person. But with these fingers, obviously, if you even if you're 12 years old or 14 years old, it's still like a 70-pound kid or whatever. How could you lift her all the way up to the point of where you have to stand up? It's impossible. And how would she remain stiff, kind of thing? So it's like obviously something weird is happening, and it's not just like a false a false memory. All my friends remember us doing it, but now you tell someone that, it's like, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't do that one with the stiff as a board, but we did the one with the, I remember my father was really skeptical. So we did the big giant TV, and it must have weighed, a couple 100 pounds, and, and it went up as well. My father was like, holy cow. So, so
Yeah.
you can do the, okay. So we're going to talk about today. Let's talk about, because we only got a few minutes left in our first segment here. Let's talk about, the new book that we just put out. I was going to call it the Super Bowl, and then someone told me it would get sued. So we call it the Big Game. You want to talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that? You just put it out?
So we have it's a two-part book that because Grant sent it to me, it was 570 pages or something. And I said, no one is going to read this. We got to split it up. And it was hard to figure out how to split it up, but I figured that would be something interesting to do, is split it up into a paranormal part and a supernatural part. So the supernatural part, we just published a couple days ago. So it's more like the telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, like the mental abilities kind of thing, or gifts, or whatever you want to call them. And the paranormal one will be ready soon, but we're going to wait 2 months to put it out. And that'll be like the ET, Bigfoot, cryptids, anything that's more physical. I did all the paranormal stuff into, more things that are known to be paranormal or more physical entities and stuff. So it's yeah, it's a deep dive into all those things, like kind of like we did in contact modalities, but we're doing it in a totally different way, where we're just kind of explaining it, giving some examples, some old stories that we've gone over before, and some new stories or scientific evidence or experiments and stuff that they've been running with all those different contact modalities basically still.
The only thing I noticed, your name is not on the book. Your name should be on as a co-author on the thing, because you did probably as much work as I did in terms, because you edited it for quite a while. You talk about that.
I was just, that's when we started using AI too, kind of. So I was just like kind of getting AI to teach me how to be a better editor, and to like, because I was I'm a science student. I was not like an English student. So I could do grammar and stuff, but I really didn't know how to restructure stuff. But I know you're always supposed to have like a beginning, middle, and end conclusion kind of, right? Within each chapter as well. So I was really like learning how to tear apart everything and to make it just like integrated a little bit better last year before I broke my leg. And so I was rewriting the whole entire thing just for my own practice as well, to make it more fluid, like flowing kind of book. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time. I was supposed to be published before last Christmas, and then I broke my leg, and then I was writing my own books, and then I couldn't focus on it. And then we had AI that was trying to help us do some things and kind of like restructure and reword things. But yeah, I was going through all the old stuff, and I had a bunch of, I added some stuff. I added quite a few things as well. So just trying to pack it for more full and do a bunch of things that we didn't include in contact modalities or some of the last books, just to make it a little more rounded and full and
Yeah. Well, if you do
packed with
another
new
cover,
bits.
make sure you put your name on it. And the second book, make sure your
Okay.
name goes on it, because you did a lot of
Okay.
work on that. I just give the idea, and then we'll just close this segment. The idea behind the book for me started was because you and I both we're not like UFO people. We're all the paranormal phenomena. We look at everything and we sort of realize there's these connections. So I always see this thing with I remember when Skinwalker Ranch got the first orb. They got the photograph and they go, oh, like, oh, we got an orb. And it's like, oh, they're all excited. And it's like, come on already. It's like, and then you suddenly, because you and I know that orbs appear in seances, they appear. You and I were photographing north of Winnipeg, the orbs that would appear on the films. We had the orbology group. We had, or then you realize that we were going to call the book crossovers because you realize that all of the paranormal phenomena, if you look closely at any paranormal phenomena, you'll find it happening in all sorts of other paranormal phenomena as well. That it's like the hitchhiker happens in ghost hunting. It's not just UFOs where this stuff happens. So we're gonna, but then crossovers was kind of hard to try to explain to people what you're really meaning by that. And it just became almost like contact modalities where we had so much material on each one of these phenomena, just sort of showing how orbs would appear in all different types of phenomena, and to educate people to the fact that it's almost like Ray Hernandez, the vision that he had where he pulled out of his car when he was listening to that NPR show on the traffic jam in Miami, and he sees this wheel with all these images on them, paranormal phenomena, remote viewing, psychic phenomena, you know, cryptids and UFOs and stuff. And they said, in the middle was consciousness. And they said, you got to quit parsing this. It's all the same thing. It's all connected by consciousness. And so that's basically the idea of the book. And so we go through almost like contact modalities. We go through a lot of different modalities and different paranormal phenomena because we've been into that. We've looked at not just UFOs, and that's I guess maybe as a problem in the UFO community. If you cut yourself off to just doing nuts and bolts UFOs, you're going to get totally lost because you're missing the whole point. This is much more complex than just that. So, if you've got any closing comments, otherwise we'll go on to the next subject and the next. And this is legacy files. I should have said right at the beginning. This is our legacy file editions that we're doing, and we're. Just doing a little short segments so people can listen to them on the way to work rather than having to listen to you and me and other people rant for hours on end.
Yeah. 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 I think the books are a really good example and like medium dive to deep dive for people, especially that don't know about these kind of things and don't know how many crossovers, like you're saying, there is. Because totally, I think even 5 years ago, but probably even less than 5 years ago, it was still in those days when people were saying that they didn't even understand that these things all crossed over. And it was still really where like UFO was in a different box than ghost hunting and then spirits and seances and stuff. And a lot of the people that I still have a lot of friends that either believe in
Yeah.
ghosts or UFOs, but only one of them, and they don't believe in the other one. And that's really, I think, these days, I think is a lot more open, where everyone's starting to see that people who see UFOs or experiencers, channelers, any of that kind of stuff, it's like there's a lot more things that are involved and intertwined than we used to think. And so it is one big topic, but it is such a gigantic, the paranormal is such a gigantic topic. But it's all the same thing. It just has like 1,000 little boxes within it, but it's all the same thing.
Yeah. And you reminded me of a story. This is true that the paranormal people don't like the UFO people and vice versa. Ray Hernandez tells a story where he was doing a thing on consciousness because he's not into UFOs now. He just said it's all consciousness. And he went to Ions to support him working on this. And they said, well, good luck. We're supporting you, but we simply can't get involved with your UFO stuff because if we do, we'll lose all our funding. And it's like, holy cow. It's
Whoa.
like, so that's the thing you see, like it's really clean cut that you're either in one camp or you're in the other camp. And I guess what you and I are trying to get across is that the fact that it's all the same thing. And when you start looking at it, you realize that there's these connections and it's all very much connected. And
I
that's
think what the
that's
big
yeah,
Oh, sorry. I think what the big thing is that it's such a huge topic. Each one of those 1,000 small boxes, like ESP or just
yeah.
remote viewing, that is such a huge thing. If you don't know anything about all these other things, just doing the research into remote viewing could take you an entire year. So if you haven't been doing all this stuff for 20 or 30 or 40 years, and know a little bit about all of it, it would be impossible for a new person to into this like field to see the connections, because you have to have your own deep dive into every one of these things to start seeing the connection. And I think that's the thing, is that so people in ions, or if you're just like part of like the near death, experience, like the NDEers, those people probably are super knowledgeable about that one field. But if they don't know about UFOs, they think it's something separate, because it would take them years to look into all the different cases and to then start seeing the links. But it's not just those, it's just like there's hundreds of these boxes. It would take you, decades to really go into it and to start seeing it. And that's why, for both of us, we've both been doing this for so long. That's the exciting part, is we've interviewed thousands of people over, this past decade, and read thousands of books, and watched thousands of hours of podcasts and stuff. So we can really see that and start tying them together to kind of show it to other people.
Okay, and as the vacuum cleaner is going on behind, we'll cut this one
Okay.
down and we'll get into the audio. Some promo stuff we're going to be doing with audio.
Sounds good. We'll see you again shortly. Can't see how to stop it. Hold on.